started. All right, everybody, we're going to get started here with the second act. So it's time to respect the mic. We've got our last word coming up, Mr. Beederman. Guy to the mic.
Guy to the mic.
Guy to the mic.
Guy to the mic.
And it's time to get in your small voices, everybody.
It's Guy and Mike together.
Listen up! Don't make me yell, people.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. So I have a new book coming out. I just got the proof for it. It's not out yet. It's called Edible Grace. But I thought I'd share a short piece. And it's called When You're Hungry Enough. When You're Hungry Enough. Grasshoppers and crickets chirp for a reason. To call a nearby mate, to celebrate having made it, to warn away a rival. That's animal fact. That's purpose. A group of grasshoppers is called a cloud. A group of crickets, an orchestra. A group of canaries is known as a charm. Canaries were the first caged songbirds. Spanish thought of that. First cricket in a jar captured by a kid who punched holes in the lid so the cricket could breathe, so they could hear the cricket sing, so they could watch the cricket die. Maybe not their intent. That's unexpected consequences 101. That's what happens when we put things in jars, in boxes, in cages. Their songs become the songs of those not captured, those who live in a charm, in a cloud, in a roar of free verse, who sing of those encaged so no one forgets, who sing about the depravity of captivity, the cruel disregard of concrete, because it has come to that. The best poems come when we have something to say and we have to say them. To say it, and when we find the chair, we punch the keys, we carve the pen. Because we are calling, we are hungry, we are ravenous, we are warning. Thank you. And then I'd just like to share one from, I was honored to be part of the Civil Liberties United.
Yes.
And it's called This Is What Happens When You Corner a Poet in a 3 a.m. alley.
I like it.
Whoever said you can't draw with a typewriter never learned to write. Whoever said you can't get news from poetry never went to an open mic. A man face down in the street with bullet holes in his feet is not fit for idle speculation over tea. His home is on the front page of our minds in 1,000-point font. His life screaming in our mouth, sinking in our hearts. The young woman killed while waiting for a train for skin a target. All the dreams she can't have won't be forgotten if we are of a mind, if we catch and carry, listen and hope and act. Thousands of children held in cages, government issue, state-sanctioned kidnapping. Find the goddamn key. I'm becoming a verb before my own eyes. Even little actions lead to big. Even drops of water crack open the rock of old belief. Deaf ears can tune to deeper frequencies. The act of expression is both a possibility and a tool. Call it a weapon, if you will. This is what happens when you corner a poet in a 3 a.m. alley and they pull out their pen. Imagine poetry as currency. Imagine swapping a story for a bowl of minestrone, a novel for a rack of ribs, haiku for tacos, a limerick for a ripe yellow peach, prose poems for an open mic, flash fiction for sudden truth. Words peel back minds, they jumpstart hearts, they create the flow where poets and listeners share in the fluid economy of understanding, dignity, and respect. A free market exchange, if you will, built on the gold standard of love.
And Guy will be back as our last word to end out the second part. I'm up now, and Antoinette, you're on deck. So yeah, the themes to me, I couldn't come up with anything. So I I was sitting recently having a conversation with a very young woman, and I realized we had a lot. Well, no, I'm going to read that first. So, postcards. The postcards I sent to El Paso. This was one of the poems, and sometimes it's important if you're going to write a poem, make sure elementary school kids can understand it. This is called "Don't Mess with Texas." Woo! Too many tears, too much blood, too many guns, not enough hugs. Time to stand, voices raised. Stronger in numbers, it starts with us. Don't mess with Texas, we've always heard. California is with you every step, every turn. Your lives, our lives, big or small, young or old. Let's change this world once and for all. I found an old journal. We used to call them diaries though back then. Now, guys call it a journal. This is part of recovered memory. This is August 26, 1971. Picking apricots, apples, and almonds, blue and red buckets held in each bent arm. A language he didn't understand, except the dirty words could be heard in the low-level artichoke groves nearby. He climbed to the tallest branch nearest to the summer sky, wanting to disappear into the heavens, amongst the highest leaves, away from the tears in the bathroom mirror the night before, later hiding in the attic, a cross-sided blue-eyed pet Siamese on his lap, as the multiple punches to his eyes and nose dried and red on the tissues in his trembling 7-year-old left hand. Pink insulation clinging to his Sears tough-skin jeans, pen in his right hand because the nun said writing with the other is the work of Satan. Now his newest secrets, told never to profess, not even at confessional, are freshly inked in his hidden diary, which sits today off color with yellowing pages. Okay, so here's a poem. You never know what you have in common with people. So this is called The Blinding Sunday Smiles. As I sat on the first few steps along a sun-drenched Sunday afternoon, he rolled up on his decal-covered underbelly skateboard. He smiled as he touched the lip, flipping it up into his arms. He asked my name as the multiplying skull and crossbone images on his form-fitting short-sleeve shirt swirled upward, grabbing his pronounced peak biceps, cradling his candid smile and golden nose ring. He moved in closer, introducing himself, kissing my right cheek with a quick turn on his right foot, quickly sitting next to me as if he'd done it 1,000 times before, our bent knees now touching. He had a story in China White destination points, recipes of heated crack cocaine and lime juice accented with a recent institutional stay outlined in 4-point restraints. But he was so shiny, like a brand new silver dollar, in his pelt so smooth, his youthful tan skin with a light sweet perspiration trail. I was blinded by the scarlet flags waving so close to my eyes. They fluttered in hypnotic pastel pinks and white picket fences, sunset cruises to the Caribbean, and a French bulldog with a rainbow leash and faux diamond encrusted collar walks around the neighborhood just after dinner. He asked me what I was doing later. I only heard, "What are you doing the rest of your life without me?" Instantaneous amnesia encircled the meningeal dura mater of my brain, ignoring my vibrant, fulfilling life. But now the echoed myth bouncing back and forth. A half times a half is a whole, and somehow I need completing, forgetting in the end the actual equation equals 1/4, eventually leaving me at 75% if I was lucky, and a savings account with a -0 balance. It's almost as if I wear a neon sign around my neck, laying against my broad chest. It's visible for miles. Its bright red cursive calligraphy spells, "Open 24 hours, emotionally unavailable, please hurt me." Like so many before, unable to break free from the polar opposite magnets, a maladjusted compass that points north for father and south for mother, the abandonment force field pushing intimacy east and west, always out of reach, eventually broken down on a lonesome highway with no map and 0 cell service, hitchhiking back in anonymous hookups and long weekend nights of anguish and desperation, attempting at redemption. Suddenly a flash of red across my periphery, like a long-tailed comet. It's stardust forged from 10 years, once a week, 50-minute visits and $100 copays. Remembering to ask, where are you staying? Oh, here and there, but I'm bunking with a friend. I see, I say. Next comes, where do you work? I'm between jobs right now. His leg instinctively moves away from mine, and he briefly looks away down the street. Turning back, his sideways open mouth exposes a few missing molars. He quickly asks me, do I live near? I pretend not to hear him, and I say, what? He stands up and keenly retorts, can I borrow $10? I stand up, touching my front pockets, and say, sorry, I have nothing to give. He says, I see now. My lips in a sweet simper expresses, I'm happy you hear me. He walks down a few steps away from me, adjusting his belt, his shorts sagging, exposing his correctional orange underwear band. He tosses his skateboard onto the sidewalk. As it begins to roll, his left foot pushes further away as I turn in my entirety, walking up a few throngs upward toward higher ground. Thank you. You got the Antoinette.
Tony.
Tony, you're on deck.
I'm going to speak of love and death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fertile, pungent ground, roaring seas, west coast heat, cobblestones far away, clear, crystal clear cyber optics, open path for sure, heavy breath. Listen hard and close for naked caress, us gently, poke, purr, pound, taste the raw. Soar, break time across continents like spacemen moving oceans, deserts lay between us, massive stones to get over, and I want you closer. Dear who you really are, and somewhere clamoring under the moon, leaping, falling, calling each other over a log on a path, rollicking the darkness until there is nothing for the universe but silence, presence, your lips a bed and home. Good night, my silly traveling love, till I find you of echoing meadow and these frogs beginning.
Yeah.
It seems to me there is enough fortune, flavor, reams of manipulation where smitten folks kick back from oligarchs' rule. She swore off underwear, thinking any little change can make a difference on the most grand scale. Invisible maneuvers like shedding layers and perfume squeezed from best parts. Hone good work, assume glory, escape dither. Love's real because we say so, it seems to me.
Work it out.
Giving witness, ordinary quiet comes after last breath, silence like crescendo's end. Yesterday's clothes worn entire life dropped at door, open to expanse where all of creation sleeps. Here blushed hues, sweet sounds, aromas, comforted like a relieved itch. Tiny bells glitter path, roaring light surrounds warm caverns, hold worlds outstretched to no end. There are greeters. Tiny shard of glass from earlier crash finds calloused heel underfoot, embedded, and then removed, like us.
Oh, wow.
Growing up to grow old, such contortions never realized, consumed by other people's agendas when sustenance is crucial. The rich, the poor, and the dead. The rest all clueless slobs, playing golf, eating Cheetos. Growing up to grow old, knowing our decline inevitably promises sleep after caravans to other lands worshipped. Sun salutes galaxies. Our flesh feeds forests. Acorns to oaks.
Oh.
Did Ed Mike leave?
Yeah.
Oh, he did? Okay, good. Our mini features are on deck after Tony. So Donovan and Nicholas, you are on deck. Jump.
Yes.
Grandma.
Let's go.
Abuelita. Mi abuelita. She spoke of future truths with the confidence of an upgraded Latina Nostradamus. Her scoliosis withered figure and weathered face had shown me how her wrinkle in time had put her through wars. Many unseen, but her screaming and beatings always heard by what was this little boy's ears, behind her New York City triple-locked bedroom door, at the hands of an evil grandfather. But as I grew older, I was witness to seeing how life has a way of balancing herself out. My abuelita. When I looked into her eyes, I could see into the past. Yet when she spoke only of the future, and always of what was to come, and always a day after her beatings. Blood clot eyes, bruised face, and all. She was battered yet brave enough to share the truth with me. A 10-year-old kid, imagine that. And she'd say, La gente mala en este mundo. The bad people in this world deserve what they're gonna get.
Come on.
Today I curse a lot of people for never calling the cops. My older relatives say the cops never came out to where the Puerto Ricans lived in New York, in that part of town at that time.
Wow.
Anyway, Abuela had her own powers. Oh, grandfather, Abuelo, he died a horrible death, and she lived twice as long as he did, and was twice as happy. And as far as I know, and I know, so I can tell, she went to heaven and he burned in hell.
Hey! Hey! Abuela!
Hey, bartender, with a book in his hand, pour me another poem and make it a double. I tell myself as I look in the mirror while reading poetry home alone again on another Saturday night. You see, I like to sip strong drinks and caress the pages of soft poetry as I read them and weep, read them and weep, read them and weep. You see, it gets lonely for a poet down at the bottom of the bottle, especially when the bottom of the bottle comes before the end of the poetry book. That's when I look into the mirror and I tell myself, hey, bartender, pour me another strong weeping poem and make it a double so I can read them and weep, read them and weep, read them and weep myself to sleep. Did you hear me? Man in the mirror. Now there's two of you. Men in the mirror. I'm gonna share something with y'all. The bottom of the bottle's my crystal ball. So bartenders in the mirror, pour me some more of those words so I can read them and weep, read them and weep, read them and weep myself to sleep.
Yeah! Yeah!
After my last hit, I needed to quit. After my last hit, I swear I had to say, I remember when I sat, I wore this cool hat. Now, as I tell this story, I remember I had my eyes wide open. Then I watched a turtle outfox a rabbit chasing a golden carrot around Lake Merritt. Woo! I put it on Facebook, I had to share it. Then I watched a dirty Lake Merritt pigeon take a shit while I took my last hit. Then I peeked in the bush and watched two pigeons make slow love to a rat. Then watched that rat give birth to a cat. A cool cat with a hat. Not even a kitten, and it was the same hat as mine. I was all smitten. I swear I was there. Downtown San Francisco.
Hey!
Or did I say Lake Merritt? I swear I can't remember it, but I swear that was my last hit. Now we all know why I needed to quit.
All right, folks. So today, as we got last week, we have two gentlemen coming up from Westmore High School.
Yeah!
Daly City. Donovan Chapman and Nicholas Soriano, they are going to be sharing the mic for our mini feature.
Pull up!
Remember, you got to talk in the mic so we can hear you.
So I'm gonna start with something kind of painful that I wrote when I was 16.
Yeah.
But it's not painful for like a heavy reason. It's painful because I was 16 and I was writing some poetry. So it's called Tense.
Come on, bro.
I'll lay down the tarp while you lay in the shade. You could chill in the car or the chair that I gave you. You could wear a straw hat or perhaps a bucket. Maybe tie your hair in a bun and just say fuck it. Call me a dumbass and say SMH as I struggle to find the perfect place for my girl to rest her head that could rival the comfort of her own bed. I'd get all sweaty and itchy and ask you for help. I'd be met with a sassy, figure it out yourself. I'd sigh with the disappointment I secretly expected and continue the challenge I'd already accepted when I told you I'd put up tents. I knew I'd be shit, I knew I'd get no help, but it's what I want to do. I want to put up tents for you. Although my dreams may be mundane, in no way does it bring me shame, cause since I fell, all I've wanted was to serve Michelle. This one is called Michelle.
Hell yeah!
And I broke up with her like a month ago. After 3 years. Anyways.
Single.
I came through your window frame from time to time. A break from a relationship that was mostly online. We had little time except to bone, pushing till just before your parents came home. You lived 4 blocks from me, yet I could never access entry into that house. I might have liked that more than to reach under your blouse, because how can we have a relationship if your parents hate me?
Oh.
God, high school fucking sucked.
Yeah!
And could my friends see through my bluff when I said it was enough to just get to fuck? I'm gonna throw a little like. Actually, I don't need to.
Huh?
Do your thing, Donovan.
My tragedy's still in the making. Eyes wide, hands shaking, seeds of doubt replacing shreds of hope. Yeah, they're just shreds. It feels as though it's all in my head as I lose my want and need to tread this turbulent torrent of life. Perhaps I'll find myself a wife to put an end to this artist strife and instead invest in making one new life so they could struggle as I have. Maybe they could find and stick to a plan at least better than I can. I've ran my course and manned my vessel. It's time I take the mortar and pestle and grind what's left of these bones, grind these muscles who've lost their tone, my heart who's turned to stone, these lips who could never speak loud like megaphone, and sprinkle my dust across the clouds. Let the sun furrow his brow. He who shines so bright with force and fire could never know my plight. I'm more accustomed to the night, never getting to experience the thrills of flight, my hopeless eyes with nothing in sight.
Yeah!
And this is my last one. It's called Robbie, but it's about a girl, kind of. Between the gloss of your eyes and the milk in your cheeks, crow's feet, you haven't slept in weeks. Acid eats in my chest as I choke on this silence. Your Highness, my friend, I beg you don't let us end before I even send you some flowers. Could you tell I want more from what's between us? I haven't tried to hide it too much. In secret, when we speak, I dream to thumb across those soft cheeks. I dream to hear you say you need me as I want to need you.
Ooh.
But we both know in our circumstance a relationship wouldn't stand a chance. We're really just too young and it's not in our hands. As it stands, there's no room for romance. And I don't think I'll even see you before this lifespan ends. People shouldn't meet online. It's too easy to want a faraway friend to become something closer. And I wish I never got on this roller coaster.
Yeah! Yeah! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Come on!
Thank you. Alright. Last night, I took a tab of acid. On the paper, there was a picture of the world. I mean, the planet. The world is my girl. I walk past my block and down the street with house slippers still on my feet. All the restaurants are closed, but that's cool. I don't want nothing to eat. I walk past the apartments we're supposed to move into with our 2 kids and family dog, and I sit and watch the ocean through the fog. In the motion of the waves, I see the way her hair swings when she looks over at me real quick when she's driving and I happen to be in the passenger seat. Right now, I wonder if she's dreaming about me.
Huh?
Right now, I feel like I'm not real. The whole world, the planet, is asleep. The world is my girl. I look over the edge of this cliff and the bottom is there, but I can't see. I wake up and it's the next afternoon. I look at my phone to see what's today's bad news. The Amazon's burning, the glaciers are fucking gone. Don't even get me started about what's going down in Hong Kong. They say that the clock is ticking and we really don't have that long, but international governments are overrun by bigoted psychopaths with short fuses who fuck the climate and use economic benefits as their excuses. I am so tired of hearing all of this bullshit. I throw my phone at the couch because I'm thinking I might lose it. Shit's too real, but I'm in denial. I think about my world, my girl, our future family, and I smile. I send her a text message because she should be off in a little while. She said she could pick me up real soon and we could head out to our spot and stare at the moon after we take a few hits of this backwood. It's Russian cream. I kiss her on the lips and kiss her on the other lips, and before we know it, I'm in deep. Her hair is swaying and she's looking at me, but we be in the back, not the passenger seat. As we fucking now, I start thinking about the future. What if our state bans abortions and we gotta start our family sooner? What if our kids' lungs collapse because the lungs of the planet are no more? What if they can't play at the beach because the water rose higher than the shore? What if there's a global famine and they can't afford the food at the store, so they gotta eat the dog? I should have jumped instead of sitting there watching the ocean through the fog. My girl is the world and the world is dying.
Woo! Wow! Let's go!
If I have time, I got one more.
You
Let's
good?
go! I got 2 more.
Work it out.
Hot and cold woman, you. Hot and cold woman, you. Volcano, glacier, microwave, refrigerator, woman. Please, woman, do you mind? If I may I have a bit more of your time? Like way back when you first became mine before this shit went stale and we wanted to put in overtime. You hot and cold woman, you hot and cold woman, you chilliest pepper, driest ice, you equator laying, Antarctic staying woman. I wonder, woman, once wondrous woman, was it ever love or always lies? And if I asked you to confess, would you just break down and cry? Because it's easier to let those hot tears fly than to let the cold hard truth escape your lips while you look me in the eyes. Hot and cold woman, you. Hot and cold woman, you. Sand beneath the sun on a hot day, you. Swimming pool at night with no heater on, woman. You must be a powerful God, woman, because you made that forever you promised feel not at all very long, woman. Oh, that divine woman, I guess mine is a word whose meaning means less and less over time, woman. You hot and cold woman, you. Hot and cold, woman. Hot and cold, hot. Is this just a bad dream? I wish it was, I know it's not. I've been stuck in here for way too long, and my feelings for you, I must admit, are still rather strong, woman. Almost like you, you've been through a lot, woman. Hot and cold, woman. You weren't honest with me, but I'll be honest with you. I hope you gain weight. I hope you let yourself go and age quick. I hope you slip and fall because you wore heels and tried to walk over a sewage grate and you fall flat on the concrete and fuck up your face, woman. And maybe then you wouldn't be so hot. It would be a lot easier to get over you if you were just an old, cold woman.
Hey! Come on!
Well, Alan, you got to follow that. And on deck is Garrett Murphy. On deck.
Come on! Hot and cold woman, you.
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar needs to record that. Yeah, you got it. All right. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Alan Harris. It's Alan Harris.
Focus. We got the mic. Respect it.
Or Mike will come after you.
I am the witness to the filling up of an empty space by an air bubble wielding casualty whose desire to simply be seen is ignored by the spiritually atonal, self-appointed surrogates of the founding fathers who are engaged in a tube-induced competition to see which one of them can claim to love Jesus the most while acting the least like him. Their increasingly shrill cries of earthly exceptionalism and promises to invade the sun on day one, giving the pro-oblivion hordes a reason to nod in agreement, chuckle at the punchlines of the damned, and thank God every day for the existence of charlatans whose favorite adjective is apocalyptic, and whose idea of a perfect world includes cops who work on commission, fossil fuels which, when burned, make the air smell like cookies, and the kind of patriotism best expressed through the drunken obliteration of a squirrel with an assault rifle while wearing a bikini. A world of compressed objection and selective rationality in which, if your name happens to be Mr. Pre-existing Condition, then you are fucked. And when the purges come, fueled by false equivalency, evil subjectivity, and wave after wave of shell-shocked optimists, you will be left with nothing but the knowledge that corporations are sociopaths, that with a frontal lobe comes responsibility, and that just because you're paranoid, that doesn't mean that people aren't voting Republican. Thank you. I dwell in the lower echelons of the human experience, an honorary eunuch who has daily disagreements with reality and who can't shake the feeling that he should go to more funerals. A coward with a bad temper, forming tentative relationships with very old souls who spend their days giggling into a void, sometimes scarily upbeat, sometimes acceptably detached, sometimes contentiously agreeable. I want only to swim in a vertical ocean and to unionize all of the losers. Instead, I plunge headlong into the nightmarish minutia of sanctimonious traffic jams and holy day ruthlessness and exuberantly Pavlovian stick figures and smirking millionaires who brag about how the only two organizations that they belong to are their church and the NRA. I race past the shit-colored street signs and down the roadkill-infested highways of America, marveling at the folksy bumper sticker wisdom of phrases like, "Guns make people more polite," and "I will not dial 911," and "Save a cow, eat a vegetarian." Stopping for sustenance at well-scrubbed strip malls filled with neo-Puritans who are all jacked up on right-wing pornography, and to whom I could feel slightly superior because at least my porn is fact-based. Awash in coverage of Watergate and Bridgegate and Russiagate and abuse of the filibuster gate and voter suppression gate and climate change denial gate and income inequality gate and religious hypocrisy gate and not letting the first African American president appoint a Supreme Court justice gate.
Wow.
And hopefully someday a scandal involving a gate so that it could be called Gate, because I think that would be really funny. And cheerful pessimism is just about all that I have left. Thank you.
Garrett Murphy, Rob, you're on deck.
WROV. No, it was AM.
Details.
And no arts allowed. We advocates of simple human decency and tradition are most in arms about this terrible phenomenon which we thought we had finally vanquished for our focus upon business and MBAs and science proper decency. Remember, the business of America is business after all. But alas, this evil called the arts has despoiled our souls and conscience yet again. Blotches of graffiti all over our walls, photos and portraits and subjects not to be exposed to our simple, moral, traditional family values. Stories now abounding about signals and other undesirables and untouchable unmentionables in our decent society. Oral garbage ranting being passed off as poetry or musical, and such disrespect for law and order and authority. Why, we would not be caught dead displaying anything but worship as such. Remember to work them. That is our motto with a touch of haze to boot. But the most asinine corruption of all our morality, and the one thing we decent moral traditional humans despise, is all the movement, movement. So therefore, dear citizen, we must put a stop to all this drunkenness anarchy, so please, please, please don't allow the artists in here. Oh no, you see, the arts are contagious, and now we are getting the urge. Pay no attention to our early stages. We must pay attention and fast. We must vanquish this aberration before it takes over us all, so please, please, please don't fall for our above nonsense. 3 travesties and then many. From the whole of Africa, they were snatched by raiders, random without regard to region or clan or families, shipped away far from connections to homeward or culture, to be split further and further from legitimate names. Today's most names are the same as those of the captors, and connections are to this day irrevocably lost through years of splitting and mixings and mix-ups. They had to make an all-new culture like a jigsaw puzzle with at least half of the pieces lost, stolen, or destroyed. In many ways, for oppressors, these are the ultimate result. Already on the land was another cultural group who nonetheless was also believed illegitimate. They were ravaged and savaged and wiped out by invaders, and after that, not more than enough, their families were also deliberately torn asunder, carted off to good Christian white families to learn the real culture in place of their own, wiping out the connections through intermingle or starvation. Took an act of Congress to put a stop to that, though the damage will and has lasted much longer. Now the notoriously mentally truant delinquents in the Injustice Department dare to deliberately pull migrant children from their parents under the usual tactic of a tough deterrent, T-Rex tactic or tyrant degree, and the more apt monikers for that more diabolical plot. The goal is, of course, a reprise of the usual chaotic desire of making America lily white. The adage, what does not kill you makes you stronger, conveniently neglects to act as postscript and ages you, which, of course, is another desire of the would-be enforcers, namely the figurative and literal elimination of culture. People are scared of independence. What makes one break out in an ocean of sweat? What makes Frank, Drac, and Jaws look like easy pickings? And what can send one heading for parts unknown? You guessed it. Folks are scared of independence. Yes, people are scared of independence. We come out of the womb as helpless as babies that alone can make one wail and whine. Of course, we're taught, indoctrinated into dependence. At times, codependence is a law of the land, but all too often it all seems that codependence stays a law of the land and it generates into the law of life. Folks come to the point of independence, and so many of them long for the womb. Folks are scared of independence. Yes, people are scared of independence. People law the military line, up to. They know where their place is at. People do the nihilist, fatalist. Alas, it's so unjust. Alas, can't do nothing about it. So alas, just stay where you are, and alas, accept it. And some, after serving time for wrong, find freedom frightening and long for the cage. And on a few will long for the bad old days when ups were denied and prejudged was cool, for you knew where you were at, and you knew your place. Folks are scared of independence. Yes, people are scared of independence. But even when I said little of all the above, there's plenty to find for evidence of dependence in home and work and play and performance. Folks are too eager to take what's given to them without so much as an inquiry into it. It's good. Folks listen too much to media, listen too much to authority, listen too much to leaders, but don't do nearly enough thinking for self, and that's to say nothing of critical thinking. Folks are scared of independence. Yes, people are scared of independence. When times are tight, what's the first to go? The arts, the recreation, the electives of schools, especially the individual-looking ones. The ones most likely to encourage the thoughts and actions for oneself and to interrogate the desire by too many to accept as they stood in their look-alike homes, preferring to build more prisons and military academies to indoctrinate. And this from a land that claimed to stand for freedom and all. Folks are scared of independence. Yes, people are scared of independence. Yes, people are scared of independence, and that is why things are as they are.
Rob, you're up. Miss Scheringer on deck. Usually to your left, right? Let me frame you, sir.
Am I framed?
You're good.
Okay.
You've been framed.
I want to dedicate this song to my oldest friend, Ken Hartman. He died last week. We were born 2 days apart, and I knew him and loved him for 36 years. I'm going to do another cabaret song because there is a brand new cabaret opening tomorrow night in the Mission. The Underground Cabaret at the Laundry Cafe. Drag queens, drag kings, burlesque, and me. This is called the Raw Dog Blues. And I need a little help on this one. When I shout to you I need you to say 2 words. Raw dog. Raw dog. All right, here we go. I got the raw dog blues. Don't make me choose. No win, just lose. The raw dog blues. Sex in a cage. Confusion, rage. Sex in a cage. Confusion, rage. I haven't worn a love glove since the Bush administration. No, not that Bush. That Bush. Raw dogs are less prone to depression. Raw dogs are less prone to depression. Be a raw dog. Sterilization. 93% satisfaction. Say it. Raw dog.
Raw dog.
IUD. 90% glee. Say it.
Raw dog.
The pill. 80% thrill. Say it.
Raw dog.
Rhythm method. 70% contented. Say it.
Raw dog.
Withdrawal. 50% approval. Say it.
Raw dog.
Condom application. 30% elation. I don't want the pox. I don't want to die. But any wall just makes me cry. We build a ladder to the moon, but still we croon that latex tune.
Raw dog.
Okay, Miss Sharon, you're up. Miguel, you're on deck. Nope. All right, Miss Kish, you're ready to go.
Okay. Kansas City.
Uh-oh.
Kansas City.
Tarzan came to visit. It doesn't take much except an imagination to get the kids around 27th and Prospect going. Spring and summer, minds are busy, can't sit around the house all day, maybe for a few hours if you're reading or listening to the radio, but no lollygagging. Get up, get outside. Let's get to go to a lot of places, friends, neighbors, shops, yards, alleys. Poke around, fix skates, oil wheels. Oil the wheels on your radio flyers. New pillows for your baby buggies. Visit the local ladies. Might get a plate of cookies and some fried pies. Only in the evening do the old timers tell their good stories and slip you a quarter when you're on the porch. An errand for someone will get you enough money to get some candy, ice cream, popsicles, potato chips, and maybe 2 pieces of bubble gum for a penny.
Usually it's boring around the house unless you have a pal. You and the pal can explore. Now that's a friend. That can be fun. Endless fun. Someone's dresser drawers, cabinets, closets, attics, garages. Basements. Boy, good old items in the basements. The photos, the old love letters. Now if you can score some of those love letters, you might get just another extra bit of spending money, because that is your ransom. Things you find: spare parts, arms for dolls, old doll eyes, tires for swimming, tires for swinging, tires, tires, tires. Your cousins have them in the country, but for a city kid, an old tire is a real premium. Any scrap is a major find. Some afternoons, entire wagons and treasures can be found. Kids going down the street collecting. Sneak these into the house. Find places to put them. Behind the furnace, in the attic, garage, store it. There you go, under the stairs. How about the coal bin? You can put it in there. Nobody's going to use that in the summer. There's space. If there's space, you find the room. These treasures are great. Old suitcases are great. They are really good treasures. Guess what you find in old suitcases? Love letters. Buried love letters. Dark secrets. A lot of free candy if you know that. So you hang on to those. You put those in your room under your bed. The days are getting longer and longer, and they're getting hotter and hotter. Long sleeve Carter t-shirts are a thing of the past. It's summer. It's hot. So you put those on. The boys and the girls. Weather. The branches are starting to bloom. Everybody in the neighborhood is watching all the trees bloom. Sturdy trees. Some of the trees are really old, and these just get older and better each year. Can't really start playing on them till it's late spring, but it's early spring, so make your plans, and the kids do. As weeks go by, the girls start. They've got a plan. They're going to go all the way 10 square blocks. Okay, there they go. They've got the rope, they've got the paper, they've got their Keds on, and they've also got the brownie, Buster Brown snacks on. But those aren't for the trees. Those are for the girls doing the groundwork. The girls going to the trees have to have Keds on so they can climb. So you mark the trees, you go down to your dad's basement, you get red paint, you mark the good trees. You got all the rope lined up in the garage, and they're ready to go. Got to be a Saturday afternoon, early afternoon, after all your chores and lessons, piano lessons are done. They line up, and there they are. Pencils, paper, tacking trees, and next you know, there they are, and there they go. The whistle goes off, the girls are off and running. They're swinging, people are swooshing, people are throwing windows open, dogs are yapping, some are breaking, but the girls keep going, and they make it. They make it to Prospect, but there's a snag. Janice and Sharon are tagged and tied up in the poles on the Prospect bus. It's an electric bus. No problem, they're fine. They made it across the street. Well, they did it. They broke the record. They broke the boys' record. And now it's over to Helmut and Ava's for ice cream. No boys allowed. And the word is on the street. They're the best, not only in just their neighborhood, but the whole East Side.
Oh.
Miguel, you're up. G. Allen on deck.
Still holds the record.
Yeah. Let me frame you. Oh, you're good to go. Miguel hasn't been here for a while.
Woo! Hey, Miguel. I was finding myself.
Where were you?
He's at the gym.
And a tattoo.
Lost children. Clones masquerading as free spirits inflicted with wanderlust, comfortable within the body of a collective mindset of emptiness. They possess a void within themselves that they attempt to fill using empty interactions lubricated with intoxicants. For what? A carefully curated social page of fakery that hides the raw reality that is shared by all, more often as an escape from obstacles. Too intelligent, many people fail to realize that they are blocking their own paths to free them from whatever self-imposed neuroses sound trendy at the time. Too busy, live, laugh, loving, that they forget the all too human need for depth. But no, the persona they wear takes over their beings until the self is no more. They give in to rote impulses that solidify into shadow identities, ignorant to the fact that there is a fatal error that needs to be rectified. Why is this? A lack of in-depth self-analysis, a state of being a stranger to one's own self, a mode of existence where one lives out a narrative collectively imposed by others, an inability to authentically author their own lives. That's too much work, they would say. That's too much thinking, they retort. Ain't nobody got time for that, they would jest. Everybody's different, they would rationalize. No matter, to each their own. I'm not morally superior to anyone, I'm just articulating what I observe. It sounds judgmental, but truth often feels like an attack when first encountered. That is, know yourself. I too wrestle with self-sabotage, self-delusion, self-pity, demons, one could say, daily. Rationalizing little concessions to your demons may seem all right at one moment with statements like, oh, it's just once in a while. I don't do it all the time. When in Rome. Or, it's okay as long as you're having fun. To this I say, an avalanche begins with a single snowflake on the ground. Clarity. Alas, the fog is lifted. False idols, shallow and hollow, they project an enigmatic facade. Underneath, human, all too human. Beware of attempting to maintain an illusion. They who you once looked up to for inspiration are no more. The strings are revealed, the show is a fraud. Fear not, you are capable of creation. To you, lost one who is ready for change, purify and distill your intentions. Manifest the great fruits of your noble desires, that of a world of personal responsibility, a reality where each one is a paragon of virtue. You cannot force others to do it. You must be the embodiment of that which you yearn to see more of in the world. Others will have bitterness in their eyes and icy words upon their lips as they witness you metamorphosing into the manifestation of your true potential. Keep your will steadfast and know that you are on the right path. Thank you.
D. Allen, you're up. JJ Rush, you're on deck.
Hey, Mr. Allen. D. Allen.
There we go. Ready hand.
I'm giving y'all the usual 2 poems for the night. First one is called Two Models. Game recognizes game. Popular saying used in some black people's conversations, normally blurted out when one sees their best qualities in another. Example given. Back in the 1950s, a Florida cheesecake model didn't want to limit herself to being before flashing cameras, so she switched positions. The camera was in her hands for a change. The amateur photographer in this tale, let's call her Bunny, was found by her other self, a New York City model visiting Miami on holiday. Let's call that one Betty. Leather corsets and steel and knee-high stiletto-heeled boots were kept out of these photo shoots. Bunny believed that the female form could stand on its own, and that was no lie, considering that the sometimes pinup had Manhattans reigning pinup Queen Betty to work with, potential bestseller, who could flex into any pose in many guises. A housewife, a vixen, a splashing beach bunny, a female Tarzan in leopard skin, a fisherwoman on a boat reeling in her catch in the raw, decorating a small Christmas tree with just a Santa hat and a wink. Game recognizes game. That was called Two Models, a poem about two models who were big in the 1950s. But one of them was a model turned photographer, Miami-based by the name of Bunny Yeager, and the other one was, guess who? And the last one has the same exact subject matter, and it's one of my favorite poems. And it comes from the June 2019 edition of Fresh Hot Bread, the literary zine put out by Palo Alto-based Waverly Writers. The pages are not numbered in the zine at all, so this one is called Battlefield Charm. They carried her with them on the sides of carrier aeroplanes, on the front bonnets of jeeps and tanks, even on live bombs intended for communist targets, painted on, longed for. American GIs carried her with them for good luck, surviving combat against Chinese troops up and down the 38th parallel, dissection of Korea into feuding halves, north and south, painted on, longed for. Instruments of warfare bore her likeness, someone who was never a soldier. Tucked inside lockers and duffel bags were color or grayscale totems GIs needed, helping them recall the home front and the females awaiting them on a distant shore. Hoping for the conflict to completely end, hoping to return stateside, run into a dead ringer of the red-hot brunette they constantly saw on planes and bombs. In Europe and the Pacific during World War II, Betty Gravel's $1 Million Legs had the soldiers fighting hard. But in the nearly forgotten war in Korea, Miss Betty Mae Page was all the rage. That last poem was called Battlefield Charm. Like the first poem, it's another one about Betty Page, and this was her role as pinup model for all the American GIs who fought during the Korean War. There were two pinups that were popular during the Korean War period. One of them was Betty Page, the other was Marilyn Monroe. Personally, I like them both, but tonight I'm repping this one. Fellow Southerner, I'm D. Allen, you're the crowd. Woo! And I'm saying that tagline for the last time. Thanks for listening tonight.
JJ, you're up. Is Karen still here? Karen's on deck. Karen's right there, chilling in the Barca Lounge there. I just want to make sure you don't need much.
Hello, everyone.
Hey!
I want to dedicate tonight's program to the women whom have patriotically signed up for duty. Now, I might be a little behind, but it's also, the show is also called Love Me or Leave Me. Love me or leave me, please let me be lonely. You won't believe me, but I love you only. I'd rather be lonely than happy with somebody else. The Sleepy Creek Affair. This tweeter beater I will share with you could have happened to anyone. But truthfully speaking, I was totally unprepared for a lady I met who couldn't sleep nights. Stimulating me to no end, I rushed to help her out. Over Red Lobster place, she revealed to me a lost love affair leading to her heartache. Seems she was estranged from a guy she didn't name, and now she was alone in a city far from home, and she couldn't find sleep from the flaming memories. I said to her, lean on me, and we'll have victory after the victory. Then came a songbird inside me from long ago. Was she the one I was looking for, completing my life forever to adore? Someone to hold tight on the frosty nights, filling my home with song, her love all my own. The more she talked, the more I was pleased. Hand in hand we reached Sleepy Creek. In the full moonlight it looked like a treat. I whispered in her ear how she filled me with cheer, and where she willing would be swimming. And very pleasant was the skinny dipping, and that I remember. Later at my flat, where we snacked and chewed the fat, after a small glass of wine, in my arms we reclined. The surprise coming next was a stirring in the nest. The little sweetie pie filling motion in the house, coming awake from her sleep, acting sweet. By her display, we made love out of this world and worthy of Oscars. The next evening, we'd go for Emmys, God willing. But never again did I see her or hold her. My life is unbearable without her. My friends can't understand why I do the things I do. I never tell the story because it makes me feel so blue. It's more than I can bear to remember. I'm back on the track because I want my baby back. And if you see my sweetie pie on the side with their eyes, I remember standing by as her guide. To the fellow that attends, I suggest and recommend special methods for her care. I've prepared. You can take her home to rest, but board her as a guest. Alone, do I suggest. And at the break of day, ignore the things she say, for her heart belonged to me, her guide. And when she tells you bye-bye, never will she return, because I'm the guy she yearns for. It's more than I can bear to remember. Didn't I make it right that Saturday night when you leaned on me to both of our delight? Remember how we planned to do Disneyland? Your one and only guy, always by your side. Now I'm all alone, waiting by the phone, desperately. Thank you.
Yeah! Okay, Karen, you're up. Guy, you're on deck to take us out. And please don't leave. We have lots of raffle prizes. Maybe someone will be.
I want to say something toward the end.
You? Yeah.
No, that's what-
No, at the end. Karen.
At the end.
At the end.
Okay, I've been trying to write about countries that, anyway, so I understand better the news. This is Persia, Iran, whatever you want. Resting on eons of history, Caucasus, Mesopotamia, Anatolia, Central Asia, resting on deep faith, on mountains, on giants, resting on Brahma. As Brahma and Sarasvati are Abraham and Sarah, from whom came Isaac, and from Abraham and Hagar came Ishmael, Abrahamic sons, forefathers of 12 tribes, Judah, and Islam, and from Isaac to David, David to Mary and Jesus, roots in Brahma and ancient Persia, giving birth to Zoroaster, light, Persia, legends of Persepolis, great ancient city, what tales you could tell, bringing iron to Asia, somber shades of pottery, marking the genius of immigrants seeking only to bring their ideas to greater Persia, Tales you tell. Alexander the Great walked your soils, yet succumbed to disease and his own excesses and grief, while still young, leaving an empire divided, yet resonating with the poetry of Aristotle and Homer, nurturing its soils with all cultures of the world, inspired by Alexander, who brought to Persia his own love of learning. In Amphipolis rests his friend Hespesian, dead of typhoid. In Hamadan, the grieving Alexander created lions in his honor. Today, ancient Persia, conquered by Arabs and Islam thought, Sunni and Shia, until Safavid Shah enveloped Persia in Shia, and vestiges of all cultures, all great thoughts, glow as the garden of Persia sings its glory in Isfahan, called half the world, great city of light. Dedicated to Manaz. I promised her I was going to write something on Persia. I wrote this today in the fog. Fog seems to chirp, disembodied sounds, disembodied souls singing for peace in damp air. Fair angels flutter, stutter, fairly tear apart the world with chirps, singing disarmingly, unaware of song, yet long for word, gird, trouble, bliss, miss, greed, freed joy, join yet in what is less than coin, in what is fair, spare tokens minted in sweet fog to choirs of cloud untinted, without stain, oblivious of pain, exchange for songs of peace, floating in flutter through damp air. Libya, which is it's interesting studying Libya. Libya was the daughter of gods. You know?
Wow.
Her ancestry divine and eloquent. She in turn gave birth to gods. The grass of Neptune flourishes on Libya's shores, 1,000 and more miles of coastline. A country unified by Arabic demands respect. The daughter of God survives the rape of those who do not love her. She nourishes her shorelines, spines the terns and new loggerhead turtle nests, cradles them in her arms, while other kinds of arms funnel out of her country to destroy. She waits for the God of love and nature to restore, ultimately, her country.
Thank you, Karen. All right. Last word. With Mr. Guy Beederman. By the way, he has a new book coming out soon. So we're hoping when that book comes out, he's going to come share it with us.
Yes.
It has quite a nice cover. I saw it online.
This is a little piece that a small press called Medusa's Laugh Press puts out, and they put out these cool little hardcover books. And I encourage you to look them up and send them your stuff. They're really fun to work with. But there's a certain font size you have to worry about. This one's called Jane. It started with a fake name at Starbucks. Harry, I told the barista. Gary, she asked. No, Harry. I watched her write Hairy on the paper cup with a Sharpie. Harry was an old man's name now, a name that belonged to a different generation, like Walter or George or Dick. Wait, was I old now and Harry? I paid for my double decaf, answering my own question as usual without any help. All that day I used fake names. At the dry cleaners I was hard up on the fly to the woman, Jane. Or was it Frida? Most people stretch the truth about age. For me, it was all in a name. After the second scotch, I fessed up. Jane looked at me kind of funny, and I could see pity. I was into her, a poet who liked Black Label, wore high boots, named Jane. She asked for our check before dessert from Paulo, the waiter, pulled out cash for a little over half the amount. I could see she liked to tip after tax. I'd like to call you again, I said. Such a good time. Jane, what's your last name? She closed her small black purse, flashed a fading smile. Doe.
Yeah. Cursive. You said you wanted to talk. You're next. Well, no, he's gonna. Cursive is,
Yeah, I just want to say something. There's an elder who's come out tonight.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, he's sitting over here looking rather grand. And he came. So for that, I just want to say, at 85, is it? This man has some stories. And I may get him a tape recorder, because I don't know if he'll ever write. They are not writers, and you are. You might want to ask him, can we pass your stories on? So that's why I'm doing that, and Mr. Brooks here would be a fine example. And I want to thank you for coming out, because I know it's not easy. And thanks for everybody.
Thank you, Cursive.
This is our last night. Next week, Dan's going to be back, and that'll be good.
Who's the feature next week?
I don't even know. Do you remember? Did he put it out?
He did. It's online.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
But let's thank Darlene.
Yes.
And let's.
Stand up for your rights.
All right. Well, and now we're going to move on to our next phase, the giveaway.